Here they
Hello,
come!
hello, hello, everybody. Oh, awesome. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the April edition of the VO Dojo Ask the Sensei. I'm Tish Hicks. I'm the Master Sensei of the VO Dojo. I am usually in Burbank, but I got COVID when I was in Chicago, so I am still in Chicago quarantining. Um, we are joined by Jeffrey, our amazing team member who keeps everything going here, and our fantastic guest senseis today are also our demo producers, Brittany Cox and Ryan Ricks of Next Level Voice Demos. We're usually joined each month here by our Techno Sensei home studio master Dan Leonard, but it is Passover, so he will not be joining us today. But we'll try, if you do have tech questions, throw them out there, and we will try and do our darndest to get them answered properly, and we'll guide you gently to Dan if there's something that's above our um, comfort level of saying, yeah, that's totally true. Um, Excellent. So how this works is it's a Q&A. So if you have questions for us today, put them in the chat, and then Jeffrey will call on you and we'll get your voice in the room. We'll take as many as we can within the hour we have here. And I think that is that. So Brittany and Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And why don't you say a little bit about who you are and what you're up to as we're allowing people to shift in here, and
Oh,
then we'll get started with questions.
thanks, Tish. Yeah, we're always happy to be here. And hi everybody. We've known Tish since we moved to LA. What was it, 5.5 years ago? So I
Yeah.
feel like we've known each other forever. Um, so I'm Brittany Cox, half of the Next Level Voice Demo team.
The best half.
Stop it. And I'm a voice actor and director here in LA. I work in all genres from commercial to narration, video game, animation, dubbing. I've done a little bit of everything. Some of my recent projects are the new Lego 2K Drive video game, the voice of Nancy Drew in the Nancy Drew video game series, Genshin Impact, Rainbow High, Pokemon. Yeah, those are the big, more recent ones. Um, and so, yeah, I make up the writing half and the fun, creative, directing, voice directing half. And this is my super smart, tech savvy husband, Ryan.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for having us again. And yes, like Brittany said, I am the slightly less cool half of the voice demo team here, and I am a post production audio engineer, re recording mixer, and composer. So I'm bringing all of the technical know how and the sound designing and mixing element into the demos. Um, I got my start in the industry on the voice casting side of things as well as doing music placements and music licensing for a post production house. And so I have a lot of experience with working in terms of sound design and sonic branding and music placements in regards to commercials. I also have a lot of experience working in video games. I've composed original scores for a handful of video games, including one of Brittany's Nancy Drew games as well, which is very exciting. And yeah, so with our powers combined, this is the voice directing and script writing half, and I am the technical sound designing mixing half of the next level voice
So,
demos.
with our powers combined, we create fun demos with people. And, that really our goal with any demo is to always showcase the actor and showcase, what people are bringing to the party as a voice talent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for us, as we answer questions and chat through our process today, hopefully, kind of the big thing you get a sense about our process is that there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
Here's the cookie cutter formula to do this thing. Every demo for us is an organic process and it all comes from the inside out. And that allows us to be really, really specific and to really highlight what you're bringing to the table as a talent that's different from,
Anybody else.
anybody else.
So yeah, that's us.
That's it. That's what we got. We did it.
Excellent. So, and just because Brittany and Ryan are here as demo producers doesn't mean that the only questions that we can answer are about demos. Obviously, everyone has questions about demos, no matter where you are in your journey. But we're open to all questions. What questions are on your mind? Where are you stuck? What's been going on in your mind or your heart? Or what can take you to the next step if you're like, what is this? I would like to know more. So we're open to all of the questions.
Yeah, and between Tish and us, we've all worked in multiple markets as talent, as engineers, as casting. So wherever you're located, or if you're thinking about moving to a bigger market, like we can help with those questions. All of us can help with those questions as well.
Yeah. And just so you know that Brittany and Ryan will also be joining us for our Get to Know VO session this month, which is going to be our demo listen through, which is something that Ryan and Brittany and I do twice a year. Basically, we listen down to people's demos and run it through the gauntlet and give constructive and nurturing feedback on what we hear.
Actionable feedback is as to
constructive
add
and
on.
actionable feedback. So that's happening in a couple of weeks as well. So know that we'll be diving even deeper into the realm of demos in just a couple of weeks with them too. So without further ado, oh my gosh, look at how many people have arrived, including Eric Chamberg. Hello. Well, Jeffrey, why don't you start us off with who has questions?
Sure thing. All right. So, folks, if you have questions about the whole demo process, all that good stuff, go ahead and type them in. I will take the first question that was posed to me in the chat, which is from Peter Davis. Peter Davis, and then Kevin Ani will be on deck.
Oh, good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for this time.
Mhm.
So my question originally was, are DIY demos the way to go? But after listening to you, I would change it to, are DIY demos a way to go?
Yeah, so what I like to tell people when it comes to like DIY demos is it depends on where you are in your journey, right? I don't think any of us believe that you should go into debt to have a demo made to get started on your journey. If you're at the very beginning, you're still learning, you're still figuring things out. Maybe you're experimenting with the pay-to-plays like Voice 1, 2, 3, those types of things. A DIY do-it-yourself demo could get you started and open some doors for you. However, if your goals are bigger, like you want to get with an agent, or you want to start you've been working for a bit and you want to move to the next level, doors aren't opening for you that you want open. Also, if you're not a engineer, if you're not coming from an engineer background or any of those things, I would say it would be worth investing in a demo because think of it like a marketing tool, right? If you're going to a really fancy, let's say accounting job, and you want to work at a really fancy place, you're not going to show up in clothes that you made yourself necessarily, unless you're a fashion designer. You're going to show up in a suit and tie. You want to put your best foot forward because that's just what that type of environment requires. Versus like, your dad owns a accounting firm and you want to talk to him about working there. You can wear whatever. It's not going to matter. So it's kind of, think about it like dress for the job that you want, is my answer.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to that for a little bit of like context is your demo is usually used from a buyer standpoint and how casting directors and agents are listening to demos. It's as a first impression, right? And so the whole thing comes at you at once. There's no scenario where we can listen to a demo and say, oh, wow, like that recording sounds terrible. It sounds like it's recorded in a car and whatever else, but their voice is fantastic. It's it's an unfair ask to separate the impressions that you get from what comes at you out of the speakers from a demo. And so it's just something to consider, that it all comes at you at once, right? And so you don't want anything in there from a technical standpoint or from a performance side of things to give anybody a reason to say no or to pass on you. And so that's kind of where the DIY stuff comes in, is if you're really good at self-directing and you're really good and have an instinctual sense of what's trending and what the performance requirements are, then
Great.
rock on. Like, yes, do it. But the benefits of not doing it all yourself is alternate perspectives. You get a broader sense of what's available out there, and it also helps to make your work more accessible to more people faster, because you're not working in a bubble.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing, is whether no matter if you're doing a DIY demo or you're working with a demo producer, either you yourself doing it yourself should be exposed to as much of the industry as possible, so that you're bringing all of that knowledge into your work, because your demo is going to be heard alongside all of the other stuff that's already out there. And on the flip side, if you're working with a demo producer, you should make sure to do your research that your demo producer is actively working themselves, so that they're bringing that expertise to you. Working with somebody that was really famous 20 years ago is not going to help you if you're trying to be current in 2023, if they're not still actively working. So it definitely goes both ways. So it's not a scenario where it's like, don't do a DIY demo, make sure you only work with a producer, or vice versa. It's really like, if you're doing a DIY demo, then
Consider these things.
It's on you to be exposed to that as much as possible. And if you're hiring a demo producer, please do your research and make sure that they are on top of that, so that what you're paying for is you're getting that market research and that industry knowledge to the table for you, if all that makes sense.
Yeah, and I would add, as we're beginning, there's so many opportunities now that you can, like, just, throw your hat in the ring. And so I would say, maybe thinking of things that you create yourself that would allow you to step into the ring as samples, like having a sample so that you can play, that you can be in the mix, and then allowing the idea of your demo to evolve as your skills evolve, to that level of investment. Yeah, so that, not that you don't have anything, but that you allow it to evolve. And that also goes to, there's your first demo, and then it's always going to be evolving after that too. So hopefully that's helpful. It's a good thing.
Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
What else, Jeffrey?
Excellent. Thanks, Peter. All right. So our next question is coming in from Kevin Ani. Go ahead and bring yourself into the room and pose your question.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey. Hello there, Brittany.
Hi.
I love that thing that I see in your filmography. You voiced lots of characters recently.
Say that one more time. Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit.
I love that all the project that you've been voicing those characters, the female one recently.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
What was Sonia sounding like from Pokemon Alternate Journey?
Oh, voicing Sonia was such a crazy, fun experience. That's a property I grew up with, so being able to voice in that show was just very exciting.
But what was she sounding like? What was Sonia sounding like?
Oh, hi, I'm Sonia. Nice to meet you. She's pretty close to me.
Let me see. Let me find Sonia. Let me find Sonia. Oh, it's that. So that's Sonia. Let me see. Hang on. So that is Sonia. That's Sonia. See. So that's. So can I see? Can I hear what one more time then? Sorry.
Sonia's my name. Nice to meet you.
So that is Sonia. I see. So Sonia also. And also, about Bella Parker then. What was Bella Parker sounding like then?
What was who sounding like?
Bella Parker from Rainbow High sounding like?
Oh, Bella. Oh gosh. I'm trying to think of one of her lines. Human ladder. Human ladder. Everybody on each other's shoulders.
That was sounding like that one.
Oh.
Putting her on the spot
Put
today.
me on the spot today, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah. I'm also a voice actor too, and I voiced Pikachu on the project called Grace. I don't think you know that one, but I voiced Pikachu though.
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
Yep,
That's-
that is the really one that I really liked.
Mhm.
Really like that
Thank-
one.
Oh,
Thanks,
that's
Kevin.
Kevin,
Excellent.
thank
And
you.
what was it like voicing those characters? How long have you been voicing those characters then?
I've been voicing him for a few years, so I've been very fortunate since the pandemic. So it has been fantastic, and I'm so glad you're a fan. Thank you so much, Kevin. That's very sweet.
Of course. That's what I actually know about that. Of course, I am really a fan though of every anime and every animation. I really like Pokemon. It's my favorite, and I'm a fan of Pokemon there. I really like Pokemon so much.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Thanks, Kevin.
We're gonna take some other questions, Kev. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we always love your enthusiasm.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, who's
All right.
next? Jeffrey?
Next we have Michael Abels. Michael, come on in. Good to see you again, my friend.
Hey, you too. So my question is about my son. He's 12. He's been a voice actor for 8 years. He's never had a demo because there's never been a point in his life where his voice today is the same as it was 6 months ago.
Yes.
Sure.
And that will continue to be the case for a while. But he's kind of killing it. But we feel like he can kind of move to the next level if we can get a demo produced, even though it's going to be a pretty short burn.
Sure.
So my question is it a thing to produce the musical production and the copywriting and all that, and just leave out the voice part so we can do that in our house? Because I don't think that I can fully produce a demo, but I think that I can produce the part that goes right in the middle, which is his voice. And so I could redo the same one every few months and just update with his voice. Is that a thing?
I see what you're saying.
saying.
Like you're talking about recycling the same script or characters or whatever it is,
And just updating.
but just updating
And the same effects and sounds and all that stuff, but just replacing the voice part.
That's really interesting.
Interesting. I've never heard that for a kid before. I mean, for us, we're open to it. We've worked with a few kiddos on demos before because their agents requested it. And so for them, it became exactly like what you were saying. Their agents were like, hey, we want to pitch them to more things. So we definitely need something in this, and this, and we need to put a demo together, and that's what we need to do to pitch them, with the understanding that it was a way to open a door for them, and it would only work for a few years. So yeah, I mean, if that's where he is in his journey, why not? Yeah.
I mean,
As a mom of a now 16-year-old who's been doing voiceover since he was a little boy, I do think that the type of things that get voiced might start changing.
Yeah.
Like Reeve was the promo voice for Tubi when he was, like 13, but then he started getting a little too
cool.
grown up for Tubi. So I mean, when you're 12, I think you might have a little bit more leeway if you're still talking about the same things, but it might just be I don't know. It's an interesting idea. However, I think even the subject matter of what and how a kid's voicing something might shift in particularly in that prepubescent into pubescent young male voice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
unfortunately,
I think
it's
he would.
an interesting idea.
I think he would have a bit of a ramp, and that he's doing a lot of ESL, but also he's started doing ADR for several different shows. So there's quite a bit of room, I think. for his voice to grow within that before we have to change the script and, buy another demo down the road.
Yeah.
So that's all I
It's
need.
just
I
like
just need
shoes
some
with teenage
flexibility
boys,
for
too.
a little
What
bit.
I would say is, Michael, if you want to talk more specifics, please feel free to get on our calendar and we can talk more specifics and like look at what he has and even see if, what would be helpful and all that stuff. We do a no obligation 15-minute phone call, which you can get on through our website. And Jeffrey will put that in the chat. So please feel free. We're happy to chat more specific and see how what would be helpful in your specific situation with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Thanks, Michael. All right. Next up, we have a question coming in from Susan. Susan Gohan De Stefano. Welcome. Welcome back.
For Susans.
Hi. Oops.
Hey.
Hi, I'm here. Give me a moment. Start video. There we are. Okay. Oh, I wish I had. Okay.
You look great.
Okay. It's just me and the dog here. Anyway, what I had asked in the chat was, both Jeffrey and Tish have had a listen to my demo, and I think it was good, but it was recorded the day before lockdown in 2020, and I'm just wondering if it's also because I now have been working with Tish and Jeffrey and the other senseis, whether it might be time for an update, because I've changed, and I've changed in my perspectives and my ability to self-direct and be directed, and so that's your thoughts on the matter.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a very common question. In terms of like how often are we updating demos, and kind of are there some guidelines for those things. And the way that Brittany and I always talk about this situation is, obviously there's no right or wrong answer. It just depends on your situation, and it often depends on how much has changed from what you currently have to what you may feel is missing. And kind of the way to gauge that is, when you listen to your current demo as it is, do you feel that it is the best representation of where you are in your career at the moment? And if the answer is, oh yeah, like I still totally stand behind this, like my performances are great, like I feel really strongly about this, and it's also opening some doors for you and getting you some audition opportunities, then great. It's the don't fix it if it's not broken mentality, right? Sure. However, if you are listening to the demo and you're not getting the opportunities that you feel you should be getting based on, where you are now, and like, how often you're submitting your demo and all of this stuff, then it becomes a different question of, oh, okay, like maybe, this isn't representing me the way that I want to be represented, and I could definitely do better. And at that point, that's when you want to look at updating a thing. Because as we were saying a little bit earlier, your demo, in most cases, from a buyer standpoint, when it comes to casting directors or agents or people who are actually using the demo for specific purposes, that's your first impression with them, or that's how they represent you and your personality to their clients. And so it really is important to make sure that the demo is representing you the way that you want to be represented. And so unfortunately it's not a scenario where it's like, oh, I absolutely will update it when XYZ happens,
or every 2 years do it,
or every 2 years do it. It really depends. But that's kind of the thought process behind it, is when you listen to this demo, and based on how much you're sending it out and how you're pushing, you're getting it out there, if it's getting you into the rooms and it's getting you the opportunities that you're looking for, then don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah.
But if the answer to any of those things is, oh, I'm sending it out a lot, but I'm not getting great feedback on it, or I'm not super proud of it, then it's a different conversation of wanting to do some updating.
And I think there's also like things that might be things that you have on your demo, or things that you've done that really capture you, that you want to kind of keep, if they still work, right? If they're still working, and then refresh around or transform around, like, kind of change outfits almost, right?
Yeah.
I had an out on my very first demo that was from a first spot that I did for Bally's Total Fitness, and it was, would you like the number to call? I bet you would. And I kept that on my demo for a really long time because it kind of it served a lot of purposes. So and maybe we do part of your demo and have some things as anchors. But Brittany and Ryan are really good at exploring how to zhuzh and refresh. I've refreshed my demo with them.
We can do any and all things.
Yes.
Again,
I'm
no
sure.
one size fits all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. All
Okay.
right. Next, we have Tom Cooper. Tom, hello, welcome. Come into the room.
Hello.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
hear you.
can.
Okay.
And
if-
see you.
oh, good. Here's my question. If a demo is outside of the normal type demo, narration, commercial, is it listened to or is it understood? The reason I ask is I have done ones that are, I actually call them promos. I mean, I am not doing like commercial reads or narration, but it's a voice. For example, a storyteller that can be either commercial or narration or whatever.
I see what you're
saying.
And I also do I call it a deep fry voice, far beyond the Kardashians. And people like them, but they don't seem to get traction. They're additional above, I put them in marketing emails and so on.
Sure.
I see. Yeah. Do you want to?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Or you got it.
Either you got it.
I got it.
And then
Okay.
I'll jump in.
And then you jump in.
I think we were just talking about this with another client a few weeks ago. So
yeah. So I think the answer is in the question a little bit, in the sense that, like, we have to think about and simplify the process down to why the demo in the first place, because or sample, because a demo is not really for you, it's for a buyer, right?
Mhm.
It's for a client, it's for somebody that does a particular thing. Right? And so obviously, so an assumption that Brittany and I make with anybody that we work with, that is that you're an actor. And of course, you can do whatever is asked of you. That's why you're in voiceover in the first place. You're creative. You have ideas. You're directable. You enjoy being directed. Those are some basic assumptions. Like, you're a human being if you have a head and 2 arms and 2 legs. Like, that's why you're all here, is because you have something to express in this medium. But it's also important to remember, when it comes to a demo, that it's for somebody else. And those somebody else's have very specific jobs that they're doing. For example, a commercial director is going to be somebody very different than a video game developer or than a promo director. Promos are an entire industry in and of themselves. And so while I can understand the thought process of, if I give you this voice or this vibe, and then you can interpret it as a commercial thing or as a promo thing or whatever, as a buyer, that actually generates more confusion. And what would be better is for you to say, okay, like, looking at what I do as an actor, if I were to kind of oversimplify things, not pigeonhole yourself, not limit yourself, I'm hesitant to use those words, but think of it more like a focusing of, like, if I could look at what's available to me and look at who these buyers are and say, where does what I'm doing have the most natural fit? And then channel your energies that way, because that's what's going to help you get your demo heard by the people that are going to need what you're doing in the first place, if that makes sense. So it's about you finding a natural fit for what you're doing within a kind of limitation of who the buyers are out there. And then that way, once you start making those connections with that level of specificity, then things will broaden out in a more organic way. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, is as actors, the fear is that if I limit myself, then I'm not going to work as much.
Yeah.
It's actually quite the opposite. If you get super, super specific, it's like a laser beam, and you just portal yourself into a very specific spot. Once you're in,
Then you branch
out organically, and you allow your work to speak for itself, and you're allowed to make connections because you're in the conversation now. But you only get in the conversation by being specific and helpful to a specific type of person or buyer in this instance. Does that make sense?
Yep, sure does.
Cool. Great. I'm so
You
glad.
did
I know that was a very wordy answer, but like I'm glad that made sense.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
it's almost like showing up dressed for the job. Like, you know, like you wouldn't show up in high heels to go cut down a tree, right?
I mean,
And
you could, I guess.
well, you could, but would it? But if you were hiring, if you're hiring lumberjacks, you know, show up. I don't know. I don't want to get too esoteric on that, but
Spike heels might help you climb.
it all could work, but and then we can all wear different outfits and then show up for the job, show up
Yeah.
ready for the job, right? And
Right.
if you have your voice and all that it can do, as Ryan said, dressed for just for the job, then you're ready to go, ride or climb or dance or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, Tom, just while we're talking about it, because that opens up this segue of like, well, how many demos do I need to have? Do I need to have 12,000 demos because there's 12,000 buyers? Instead, just pick one. Like do some research and like get clear in your mind of like, okay, like after all this data that I've taken in, it seems like the storytelling stuff that I'm doing, the more promo oriented stuff that I'm doing is actually best suited, oversimplifying it, to the majority of promo buyers. Great. So start there and just channel your energies into that one river and see how far you can take it, and then let it expand naturally from there. Don't worry about
having all the demos.
Having 12,000 different demos for 12,000 different buyers. Just try and find the buyer that is the most natural fit for what you're already doing naturally, and just channel your energy there and see how far that takes you.
What I always like to tell people is like, I started in commercial VO, and my commercial demo actually got me an audition for my first Nintendo video game. And there's no video game or voices on that demo. It's just me. But they were like, oh, this could be really interesting. Let's see what else she can do. And then broadened out from there. So you don't have to have all the demos to start working. Exactly what Ryan said. Pick one or two if you have two very different interests. And just focus on those things and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
Super.
And I think a commercial demo, if you're shooting commercial, can be a good place because you can, as Brittany said, have something on your commercial demo that is a commercial but has a feel of a promo energy, or has a feel of a sparkly kid that could be in a video game or something like that, right? And then people will get a sense of that. And the way we approach demos here, and why we love working, we at the Dojo love working with Brittany and Ryan, is because what they're really good at is getting to the essence of you, and then shaping it into the places that it can apply and focusing it. But it's really that essence of you, as Brittany said, is what a demo is really about, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
All
Great
right,
question.
thank you guys for all you do.
Thanks, Tom. All right. Next up, we have Joseph. I hope this is right. Kadowski. Joseph Kadowski. Are you here?
Hey,
Hi, with the cool hat.
that was actually excellent pronunciation of my weird Polish last name. So good job.
Bravo, Jeffrey.
Well done, Jeffrey. Excellent enough. Yeah. Hey, good morning.
Hello.
Loving the energy and the vibe into this room. It's very cool. I had a question just about technical specifics. Is there anything, sorry, I actually wrote it down, so I don't know. I would just read the question. Like, are there any format variations between video game demos and animation demos, specifically like length, style of cut? Obviously, like genre will be different, and what you're like the effects you're adding and stuff. But is there something that I should know about that's like very industry standard? They should all be done this way that I maybe haven't figured out yet.
There's a few just kind of common expectations isn't the right word, but common practices that have just solidified into expectation. First of all, like if any video game or animation demo, they don't mix, meaning that an animation buyer is very different than a video game buyer.
Right.
And so the performance styles and what you would include on each one of those demos are going to be highly specific to the
Those
mediums.
genres.
For example, like Cartoon Network or Adult Swim or Netflix or whatever are not the same buyers as the Ubisofts and the Square Enixes and the whatever the Nintendos of the world. So having that distinction in terms of the demo itself, both happen to come in at the same length. You're looking at 60 seconds as your target. You can go a little bit under or a tiny bit over, meaning like 65 seconds. You know what I mean? Like,
you want to aim for the 60.
But you want to aim for the 60 in that regard. In regards to any other specifics, it really comes down to what you're bringing to the table in each one of those things. As a kind of an industry expectation, especially when it comes to character-based work in an animation or video game demo. If it's on your demo, the expectation is that you can sustain whatever that voice vibe energy is for up to 4 hours. 4 hours is an industry standard session length for any video game or animation session. And the expectation is that if they book you for a 4-hour session, if you're in animation, you better be sure that you can know that you're going to be doing multiple characters.
Yep.
So you need to make sure that all your characters are highly specific and easy to bring up in the session.
And that includes accents as well. If you put an accent on your demo and you can't pull it out of the hat, don't put it on your demo.
Because it doesn't help anybody. And so many people get caught in that thing where a buyer hears a really cool thing on their demo, they bring them into the session, and it turns out that particular thing took this actor like a week to like meditate and like get in the zone and like rehearse and whatever, and then the session doesn't go well and whatever.
They get fired. We've heard that happen many a time.
Yeah. So just make sure that whatever character, creature, whatever it is, that you can pull it out at the drop of a hat and sustain it for up to 4 hours comfortably and healthily. And that really applies to your video game stuff with like your battle barks and your creature work and all of that grenade, like all that stuff. You want to be healthy in terms of those are kind of the expectations is that you can sustain anything, that your demo is 60 seconds, and that your buyers are different. In terms of what to include on each one of those, it really becomes super specific to what you're doing. We have clients that specialize in creature work, so their video game demos are highly specific in that realm. We have other people who are like accent ninjas, and that is what they do. And so their demo is primarily geared toward being utility players with all their different accents.
And then we have other actors, and I definitely fit in this camp, where it's like you don't have a ton of voices, but it's the scene work and the age ranges you can do. So that's what the demo focuses on. So it's not like I can do a million characters. It's more like I have these few things. Here's what I do well.
It's more of a leading character type thing.
So there is in that regard, there's no one size fits all about how many spots, what kind of spots, or any of that stuff. That's when you want to get really specific about who you are, what you bring, and what you do really well.
Exactly.
And I think the other thing about this in relationship to demo is a good demo producer will make you sound good. Are you ready to, in that same way, are you ready to, if you have a little clip of a voice, are you ready to sustain it for 4 hours? Same with anything on your commercial demo. Are you ready to deliver beyond your demo? Or I think when you're ready to make a demo, it's this really interesting place of It may not be that everything's like 100% ready, but most things are, and there might be a couple things that you're still working on or firming up. But for the most part, anything that's put in front of you, can you nail in 1 or 2 times with no direction? That kind of thing. And then just the other thing that came to my mind as we were talking about, if you're putting a video game demo together, video game sessions, you walk in and you have no idea what the game is, what the character is, what's going to be required, or how
You're
many
cold
different
reading
things.
the whole time.
The whole thing, they're like, okay, here's a picture, boom, here you go, line, 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 line. So it behooves you to be ready beyond what's on your demo, that your demo is showing off. So yeah, good questions there.
Great
Well
question.
answered. So thanks.
Awesome, of course.
Thanks, Joseph. All right. Next up, we have I had Kelsey V has had their hand raised for a while. Kelsey, come on in.
Yeah, I know. My hand was starting to hurt. I'm sorry. No, it was such a dad joke.
I loved it.
I loved
thought
it.
it was great.
We don't know each other yet, but that's how I breathe. So
So I'm in my obligatory sound blanket fort that you first have when you start out.
Yes. We've all been there.
And I took notes. That's what I'm looking down at. So I had a question about, so I'm actually thinking about signing up for the next VO Dojo. I'm really excited. And I'm glad I came here, and I don't feel like I'm being chastised, which is really nice. I feel like a lot of webinars, it's just like they're talking to you, like at you, and not like to you. So I feel like this has been really nice. So I was wondering, what is like a normal price range for a demo reel, and where does it start to get like scammy and like over promising? What's a good kind of, I know it'll kind of vary by like, okay, who's the person that's directing you and all that, but how do you tell the difference between like, this person is probably editing this on their iPad?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're asking, and I love this question.
Okay,
so great. So I always tell people,
this person's editing this on their iPad.
and we've already sort of touched on this, but I always, when people are like, who should I go to for a demo producer, whether it's us or anybody, like, do your research. Absolutely. I always say, ask a bunch of questions. The questions you should ask are, do you have a no obligation meeting where you can ask questions, meet up with them without paying? If they're legit, they should say yes, because you should not put down money before you've even met with somebody, because you want to make sure you vibe with them. That energy is very important. Think of your demo producer as a relationship. If you feel like you seem really intense and that's not my vibe, probably not going to be a great demo already. Also, do they write original scripts? That is huge. There are some places that will pull scripts out of a bin, and it's just recycled scripts that you're going to hear on 30 other demos. For people who are listening to demos on a regular basis, like when Ryan was working in the casting office, when you start hearing the same scripts over and over again, it gives you a reason to say no, because there's so many demos to listen through. So you want to make sure that everything that ends up on your demo is original.
And not, and there are other places on the flip side of that will go to commercial campaigns and just rip the commercial as is on the thing. The problem with that is also another reason to say no, is because you're submitting your demo to, casting directors and agents, and it's a small world once you get into it, and people talk. And so what ends up happening is your work on your demo becomes well, I worked on that spot and I know that she didn't book that.
We've heard Tish do that before, where she's like, that's my Subaru campaign, and your voice and vibe is totally different than what Subaru does, and word for word, that's what I booked.
Yeah. So the scripts are the important thing is the scripts are very, very, very important.
So that's the second thing. Do they write original scripts? do they direct you during the session? There are some demo producers that'll say, do a take. Okay, do one more a little faster, and that's it. If that's your vibe, great. That's totally cool. But if you want someone that's a little more hands-on, ask who's directing. Ask if they direct you and all of that good stuff. For example, Ryan and I are very hands-on directors. We love playing and trying things. Not every process is like that, and not every actor wants that. So it's, what do you want? And then also, how long is their turnaround time? That's a huge one. There are some places that you will not see a first draft of your demo for 6 months to a year after recording. That is a long time and shouldn't be standard, I don't think. For example, our turnaround time is very fast. You get your finished demo 10 days after your demo session, no matter what demo you do with us.
And it's finished.
And it's finished.
It's not a draft.
So that way you can send it out for actionable feedback, as opposed to just something that's watermarked or has stuff all through it. So that way, if you love it, you can start working within 10 days, as opposed to being like, what is this? It doesn't feel finished. So that is, and then my last question, which we already mentioned a little bit earlier, are they working in the industry currently in the genre of the demo they're producing for you? There are some demo producers that will produce animation or video game demos. They do not work in those industries at all. And you can tell when you hear the demos because they don't sound like animated shows or video games that are actually out. So you want to make sure you're working with people that are working in the industry today in that genre.
Yeah, just like really simplify it down and just be like, if you want to learn to play basketball, like go find Michael Jordan, or like go find somebody who like plays the game the way you want to play it.
Yeah.
Right.
It can just be oversimplified down to that. Like just do your research and make sure that the people you're looking into or the person you're looking into, whatever it is, like that you vibe and that you feel like you're getting taken care of. And in terms of like the rates themselves, it really varies.
All over the place.
Like we can only speak to what we offer, like with our stuff, and like with us, like what Brittany said is like obviously you're getting a sense of our vibe here and how like collaborative and hands-on we are. So like our process starts with a very in-depth set of branding calls where we get to know each other really well. We establish what your goals are, why you're making the demo in the first place, what your branding is, your goals, how you plan to use it, all of these things. Then we write all the scripts that are designed to incorporate those goals and highlight your branding and make sure that all your stuff is super solid and dialed in. We offer a 2-hour recording session that we direct you the entire time. A lot of demo producers offer only an hour and they only offer you a limited number of scripts. We will over record during our 2 hours together so that when we are editing together your demo, we have options to pull from. We're not limited to 4 or 5 scripts that we record. We like to include some overlap in there as well. So we pack our 2 hours full of stuff, regardless of the demo, it doesn't matter. And then like what Brittany said, we have a really fast turnaround time. So you get your finished demo within 10 days of your recording date with us. And then we also include a couple of revisions in our demo packages as well.
And none of our demos are, all of our demos are below $2,000 for all of that. It just depends on which type of demo you want to do with us and what your specific situation is. So that's another thing. If you are getting less than that from a demo producer and some of those things you're like, I don't know, and they're asking you for $3,000, maybe think about it.
Yeah.
But if you really want to work with that person and everything they're saying, you're like, check, check, check. Yes, this is exactly what I want. Then that's great. I wouldn't pay over $3,000 for a demo, personally, for any demo. Unless they're giving you a gold trophy at the end of it, then maybe.
Well, and like Brittany said, all of our demos are less than $2,000, so we're nowhere close to any of the crazy nonsense that's out there.
Where is like, and I'm not like, I'm gonna do this, but I'm just curious, like, where is it suspicious? Where are you like, I don't think you could make anything decent with?
Well, I feel like
if you ask the questions, it'll become very clear when when you reach out to people.
I gotta say, you're gonna have
you'll find it's not hard. You'll find it very easily.
And now that we've had this conversation on this call, you have us as kind of a benchmark. If they can't answer your questions to the same level of detail, then it's like, well, okay. Or like if they're asking for,
or they don't have samples,
of their work, they're not actively working in the industry, they're just demo producers, then okay. Like, it'll become really apparent. It'll be like a really bad first date.
Yeah. Like, when you have a bad first date, you're like, this isn't going to work. Thank you. Maybe I got a drink out of this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Have your friend call in the middle of your interview.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm crawling out of the bathroom
have an escape route. Have somebody. Oh, I've got another thing. I gotta go.
Sorry.
Also, I wanted to say, I hope this is okay for me to say, I heard somebody talk about doing your own demo earlier. And I was doing that and I was working on it for like a month straight. And I'll tell you that it is a learning process and you don't know until you know. So I was recording completely wrong for a whole month for this freaking demo and editing it. And then I go on a webinar.
I think
and found out.
You just hit on the thing. If you're not a good baker, then don't bake the cake for the party. if that's not the thing that you do, or you can, but it may not turn out as well as you would like it to. And also then your time is valuable too, right? And are you going to be a demo producer? Maybe not. I mean, Brittany is a talent, and so maybe, but at this moment, is that what you're after? Then why not just hire somebody who that's what they do, and it's going to be great.
Exactly. It's like, you can make the cake, but like it might not be done in the middle, and you're gonna
like
might get food poisoning.
Yeah.
All right. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Great. Yeah. So we're getting to the top of the hour. Jeffrey, do we have time for one more, or should we?
Let's do announcements and drop some links, and then we'll see if we can shoot through one or two more.
Yeah. Usually, what we do is stop.
I have a question later in a minute.
Yep, I have you written down. We'll get to more questions if we can get to them.
We'll stop succinctly at the top of the hour that we've agreed on, and then if we can stay on for a little bit longer, we might do that. I know I have a session after this, so I might not.
Congrats.
In fact, you know what? I will not, because I actually need to wrap up and get out of here, actually. I'm like looking at time zones. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, I gotta go. So I won't be staying, but if Brittany and Ryan have a couple more minutes. So let's see, wrapping up. Thank you everyone for being here. We do this at the top of the month, Ask the Sensei. So you can put it on your calendar, 10 a.m. PT. We also do Get to Know via on the third week of the month. So those are things you can always join us for. If you're interested in working with the dojo further, we really work with everyone from I don't know to working pro. So get on our calendar for a voiceover once over, which is a 15-minute call where we can get a sense of where you're at and where you'd like to be, and figure out how we can help you get there. We have our new Launchpad version of the You Should Do Voiceover Intensive that you can do on your own, or you can do together with us, and that is starting. And if you are on your journey and halfway to where you want to be and are like, damn, I just need something to focus, we are starting our spring session this right now. So if you were like halfway there and going, if I just had some support and was working together instead of by myself on getting to where I want to be, give us, like, set up a voiceover once over, get on my calendar like as soon as possible, because now is the time to jump into our full Mystery to Mastery program, and we have ways of doing that now. So those are, oh, and then fight clubs are always happening, so keep an eye out for that. And Jeffrey will put in the chat how to reach out to us. And Brittany and Ryan, how do people keep in touch with you?
Yeah.
We're super easy.
Mm.
We're just on nextlevelvoicedemos.com, and Jeffrey also put that in the chat as well. On that website, you can hear samples of our work in a variety of genres. You can see lovely pictures of our dog.
Our email is on there.
Our email is on there, and we offer a no obligation 15-minute phone call where we can chat in detail about your specific situation and see if we'd be a good fit for you moving forward.
Or if we didn't get to your question today and you're like, oh, I just wish I had an answer to this question, get on our calendar and we can happily answer it there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see he put it in the chat there, but yeah, it's just nextlevelvoicedemos.com.
And then we have, we mentioned it at the beginning, with Tish in the dojo, we have the demo derby coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you have a demo and you have questions about your demo, submit it to the demo derby. We listen to everything live and give feedback, and we can answer and talk, and we talk way more in depth about demos and the process and how to listen to them and how to think about them. So it's always a really great experience and very enlightening experience. And we do it with kindness and actionable feedback. We're not there to poop on anybody. Yeah, that's us.
Yay. Well, I actually am going to go get ready for my session, but Jeffrey, I'll leave it in your most capable hands to set the next 4 minutes, and then however long you guys want to roll after. It's great to see you all. Stay safe, wear your masks, and
Goodbye, Brittany.
We'll see you hopefully in the
Have a great session, Tish.
Bye, Tish. Have a good session.
Bye.
Bye, Brittany.
That's funny. Well, yeah, we can answer one more question.
Yeah. Jeffrey,
Yeah.
we could do 1 or 2 more questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. All right.
Remind me. I want to see one more question.
I'm so sorry, Kevin, but we've got a few other people who are ahead that haven't had that. You should get on their calendar. We'll send out an email after this is done, and it'll have all their contact information in there. Let's hear some voices in the room who have been waiting patiently to have their questions answered too. That being said, CJ Joseph, if you're still with us, I know you had a question.
I am, but it was answered.
Oh, great.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yes. All of my questions were answered, so I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, you're the best. Thanks, CJ.
Up top. Boom.
We love it when we're thorough. All right. Then next we have Eli Hanam. If we're still here, going once.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I just want to say, big fan. You might not be able to see from behind, but I do have a Angel God poster, so I'm a big fan of Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yes.
So just to briefly explain, I'm a theatre student, and I'm currently looking for work in the theatre. So I'm somewhat familiar with auditions, and right now I'm just looking for ways to audition online on places like Twitter and Casting Call. The problems is that a lot of auditions do require that you have a demo, but I obviously don't have one. But when I inquire about how it is you produce one, I'm just told I need to build up my resume and get experience, which just sends me into a constant loop about what am I supposed to do.
I totally understand that. Yeah, there's it's one of those things when people are getting started that it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I need to get experience, to get a demo, all that stuff. So I totally hear you. What especially if you're wanting to get into character work, and you're reaching out to places to like get a demo and stuff. We always like to tell people, if you're just getting started, and what it sounds like is you are in your VO journey, put together a sample. a character sample. And so this is just a cleanly recorded in your home studio sample of you doing a couple of different voices, like what you do well. You don't need music, you don't need sound design, you don't need any of that stuff. Just have it be, it could even be 30 seconds of just different characters, different voices or accents or whatever that you can do in a cleanly recorded sample. So that way, like what Tish was talking about earlier, you have something to send out to people just to get started, just to get the conversation going so they can hear what you can do. And then once you kind of find things that you do really well, or you've been working and you're like, okay, now I'm ready to move to that next level. That's when I would like invest in a demo with all the music and the sound design and maybe working with a producer and all of that stuff. That's what I did when we first moved to LA, is put together just a raw sample of just me doing some characters that I do. And that opened a few doors for me. And then when that no longer worked and I needed to do something better, then I made it did an actual demo with all the bells and whistles and stuff. So that should be something, and it doesn't cost any money. Just make sure you're recording in your home studio and the sound quality is decent. Is that helpful?
Yes, I saw him nod.
Oh, okay. Good. I was like, I don't know.
Yes, that is helpful. I have sent a couple of samples based on auditions that I've done and during the pandemic, and they were all original material. So that's very helpful advice. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, and it's just a long game.
Yeah,
right?
It's just a journey.
Unfortunately, nobody can say when a particular thing is going to go well, or when it's not going to go well, or when it's going to go exactly how you hope it will.
Yeah.
Or, and so it's just at a certain point it becomes just showing up a little bit every day and just staying consistent with what you're doing and just chugging along.
And the theater work is great. Video game people love that.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, and thank you for playing.
Thanks, Eli. All right, folks, that brings us just past the top of the hour. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you do have any other further questions for Brittany and Ryan, please do reach out. They are wonderful, talented, kind individuals. I don't have enough praise that I could layer upon. But yeah, thanks so much.
But I do. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I was one of their first clients.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Brittany.
Bye, Kevin.
Yep, and I'm still working from what you did for me.
Oh my gosh. Royal's one of our favorite people.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So I want to thank you all. We're going to talk later, okay?
That sounds great.
All right.
Good to
You're
see
still
you.
R&B to me.
All right,
take care.
beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Stay tuned to the dojo. Remember to check back in April 19th for Demo Listen Derby and more fun with Ryan and Brittany. All right.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.